Hey, what's good? How you doing, baby? Yeah, we're not. No, no. Hmm. Dude, I'm so pumped.
I just realized that I had my mic off for that entire introduction. That last
Oh,
sentence is literally the first thing people heard. It's fine. Makes it even better, right?
yep,
I said I didn't want people to hear that, right? I said that, right?
you did, yeah.
Well, the mic's on now, so.
So everything from here on counts. We can't talk about anything controversial now.
Oh no, no, that's all I want to talk about. But I don't feel like there's anything like that with you. That's one of the things I love about you. I've told you this before. Your Facebook posts, like I feel like you
Mm,
use. I'm gonna be a broken record this whole night, aren't I? I've said this stuff before. You, I feel like you use Facebook in like the way that Facebook was intended to be used. Like,
yeah, for positivity, for good.
yeah,
Almost sometimes, most
which
of the time. I hope.
which is a tall. It's a tall order, man. That's such a tall order. It seems for the general public, most people. I mean, not
Yeah,
that we're not part of the general public, but for most people, it seems like Facebook is one of those things. Like, nope, nothing
it
good ever
drains
happens
them. Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. And it's. I feel like I try and just make it a little community because that's kind of what Facebook was. Like I was one of those people. I'm 32. So when I was a kid, there was no internet. And so when like MySpace came around, I didn't really want to join MySpace. And then I was on MySpace and I'm like, that's it. I'm staying on MySpace. So when Facebook came around, I was like, nope, I'm not going to Facebook. It's not happening. And then everyone left MySpace and I was talking to myself over there and I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to Facebook. And so I started doing Facebook. And then, people are like, you should join Instagram. And I was like, I don't want to do Instagram. I don't want to do, I don't like doing all that stuff. But I just like, having it be a little community, have it be people that, kind of get to know me because a lot of people look at social media like a drain on them. They look at it like, oh man, well, this person's got this thing that I don't have. And this person's prettier than me. And this person's better looking than me. And this person's doing this thing that I want to do. And it really just like sucks the life out of them. And I kind of look at it like, I want to just have it be like a conversation with me and my friends. So that's kind of what I try and have it do. What I enjoy sharing is just stuff that I think that people will enjoy. There's too much negativity going on, man.
Yeah, that's true. Well, or maybe the exact perfect amount, so we could have this nice little balance between light and dark. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like you do a better job. That's one of my goals as well, is to do that. But I mean, I feel like you just win at it constantly. I mean, do you ever have?
I've been putting in the time.
Yeah, but like, do you ever have? Does it ever go wrong for you? I've not witnessed it.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. I made a post the other day on Instagram and I ended up taking it down. Um, I saw something that somebody else had done and it just really rubbed me the wrong way. And I like screenshotted it and posted it and I was like, dude, this ain't it. Like it just I don't even know if I want to talk about it too much.
That's fine. Well, if you took it
But
down,
I
obviously not. But
I took it down. Yeah, I took it down and I messaged a person and talked it out with them and I was just like, dude, like what is going on? Like this is just it doesn't make any of us look good. And that's the thing for me. Like I'm a person who likes to think about everything that I do. So like before I make a post on Facebook, I usually thought about what I'm gonna say for a couple hours at least. Most of the time, unless it's like the question of the day. Sometimes I'm sitting there listening to something, and then I'm like, oh, that would make an interesting question. Boom, I put it as my question of the day. But if I write anything longer on Facebook, or like a story or a status that's not just like my regular question or selfie Sunday or whatever, I thought about it for a couple hours. Just thinking about what I want to say, how I want to say it, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not a very like spur of the moment person. Like if someone came up to me and was like, "Hey Rob, let's go hiking for an hour," cool, I'll do that. I'm very I can roll with the punches like that. When it comes to stuff that I post online, I usually think about it for a bit, think about it for a bit, think about it for a bit before I throw it up there. But this thing that I put up and then ended up taking down, I was just like, I saw it, I was upset, and it really just like, it shook my cage a little bit, and I just posted it, and I was just like, whatever happens, happens. And I got a lot of people message me saying, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I got a lot of people saying that I was being a bully and being a hole. And, I ended up taking it down after I talked to the person. And, I still kind of feel the same way I did about it to begin with, but it didn't help anybody out doing it the way that I went about it,
Well, the fact that you reflected on it like that, and the actions you took from there, the fact that doesn't happen for you very often, I think speaks to your character. That's one of the reasons I think we get along so well. Is I try to do the same thing that you do, and think about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Especially online, and how it might affect other people, and how it would just affect the entire world. And it's, it's impossible. To your point, like you probably, I'm sure it was good, whatever it was. I didn't see it. I didn't see what happened. I'm sure that you had strong points, and it was obviously controversial if you had messages coming in from both sides.
Yeah. I'll tell you what it was about. It was about free handling venomous snakes.
Okay.
And the person had posted a picture of them with a gaboon viper laying on their chest, like inches away from their face. And so I posted that, and I was like, what the heck, man? Like, what is the point of doing that? Like, it's one thing if you want to like free handle your stuff and do it in your own room and whatever. But for me, like when you make a video or a picture of you like doing it and then post it and blast it all over the internet, it stops being about the snake anymore. And it's more about, hey, look at me. And it really just like, because holding a snake in your hands is one thing, but like a thing like a gaboon viper, like laying on your chest, it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I posted on it, and I was like, dude, this is not it. Like, there's a lot of things that are like, I don't really agree with that, but whatever. And I just saw that, and I was like, that just really rubbed me the wrong way, because, are you interested in firearms at all?
I mean, I like to
Casually
shoot things. Sure. I mean, I like to hit a target. I once got this really epic shot where I nailed a bug. I mean, we're kids. When you're kids, you do all kinds of destructive stuff, right? Especially as boys. I know I'm learning this again with my children. And it was just this big beetle took off like from these old mines, and I had this BB gun, and I just brought it up and was like, baff, just baffed it. And from far off, and I was like, "Oh, duck hunt paid off." Everyone's like, "How'd you do that?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm in tune with the universe." Baff. Anyway, so guns. What?
Well, no. I just mean like people who are into firearms and everything. Whenever you've got a firearm, you don't put your finger on the trigger unless you intend to pull that trigger. Correct. And that's like rule number one. And then like, don't
never point it at somebody unless you want to kill that person.
Exactly. So I was like thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, it's the same thing with like venomous snakes to me. It's like, you don't put your hand
on the trigger and then put it underneath your chin like this.
Yeah, you just don't. And if you do that and post it online, people are going to have some sort of, way to think about it. And it's just as dangerous. Like, I'm not going to say just as dangerous, but it's almost as dangerous to do that sort of thing, And so it just like, I got some people who are fans of this person, and they, were like, "Hey, you're being an asshole." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but like, I'm trying to think about this in the bigger picture scheme sort of things." And then I messaged that person, and we hashed it out. I took down my post, and it is what it is. I don't expect to convince anyone who does those things to not do it. It didn't change my opinion. It didn't change his opinion. We talked about it. It's squashed. So whatever.
Well, that's, in my opinion, the important part is that you guys squashed it. You agreed to disagree and moved on. Yeah. I'm assuming there's no hard feelings on either side.
No.
too much. And I mean, you feel the way you do still. It's interesting you brought that up, because I personally, I mean, I don't care what other people do, really. I mean, to a point, sure. That sounds completely insensitive. I'm really good at sounding insensitive. Like I'm super like I'm very empathetic, and I care about people, and I want everybody to have a good time. But I have this way of sounding completely like I don't care about anything, especially when I say things like I don't care about anything. And my point is, like, I feel like you're a very open-minded person. So that's interesting to me that you brought that.
I try to be.
Yeah, that you brought that up. So what is it? This is definitely one of those things that's been a topic, especially with everything with USARC and the different legislation that's been coming into play this year in particular, with the reptile keeping community. There's been a lot of I've been making what I consider to be the mistake of going on Facebook almost every day, and then in that I start seeing people making posts about what they think about what somebody else is doing wrong. Rob, how could you dare do that? And
I did it.
And I was like, dude, how do we we're such a small community in the world of people. Like, how do we get on some sort of similar page where we're not totally just going against each other on these different topics? Like, how can we agree to disagree and make it be positive regardless of whatever's happening out there with people that think that, because here's the perspective. Here's one perspective. A gaboon viper laying on the chest is showing, although it's very much like your analogy was perfect, like taking a gun and just like kind of holding it up to your chin, like, haha, look, I'm not pulling the trigger, so it's all good.
It's all cool. Nothing happened. Bad happened. So it's like, it's fine. And it's like, well, what? Sometimes things happen. Like, what happens the time it does happen?
And I see the idea being, we're already under enough scrutiny. People don't want anything that could possibly bring more scrutiny, and something like that. If that snake, as calm as it may have been, and as well as that person may have known that animal, for it to not do that, if it did just happen to grab him by the jugular, what would that do for?
That's a bad spot to get bit.
Yeah, that's kind of like instant out, right? I get, what would that do for all the legislation? What would that do towards that? That's the question, I guess, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Like I said, that was like, I overreacted to things. I threw that up there. I took it down. I talked to the person, and it is what it is. But I always just look at it like the bigger, like the whole community. How does that reflect on each of us? And, one of the things that I've seen a lot of people say is like, well, by free handling cobras, I'm showing people that snakes are not really all evil or mean or whatever. And the other day I was thinking about it, and I was just like, the average person, they think that a angry bull snake is just as scary as a cobra. And the bull snake has no threat of killing you. You pick up and handle a bull snake, and they're just as impressed as if you're picking up a cobra.
That's a good point. That's a great point. That's a fantastic point. So it's more like, it's almost more shock for just the reptile keeping community. Like, stuff like that is like, people who know exactly what that snake is. It's like, oh, damn, that's.
But then again, the people who work with cobras and gaboons and stuff, they might not even be impressed, because like,
right, sure,
I've watched a lot of people free handle things, and the risk, the actual risk and the perceived risk are different, because I've watched a lot of people free handle things. I will not go on the record as saying that I have or have not. But as someone who was once a 20-year-old guy, the perceived risk and the actual risk are different. And what you're trying to do is say, look at my perceived risk, look at what I'm doing, look at how much risk I'm taking, look at how much, command, how much, knowledge I've got. And when you come to the people who actually know things, they're probably not impressed. You're only impressing the people who know this much, not the people who know this much. You know.
I I certainly learned that the hard way when I first moved back and found a rattlesnake and out in the wild and picked it up and took a picture and posted it online. I was like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
look how cool this is, and everybody was like, look what an idiot you are. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, ow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I made mistakes. I was a 20-year-old kid once. On the internet, I've done dumb things. I learned from them. And me as a 32-year-old guy, thinks probably pretty differently. I would say that I'm kind of a very level person. I've got a very specific personality, and I don't want to say that I haven't changed that much, because I look at myself from 10 years ago and I'm like, wow, that kid didn't know anything. Even though I probably knew more than a lot of people.
Hopefully, compared to how you are now, that's the goal, right?
That is the goal, exactly. And then that's the thing. I have learned a lot in the last 10 years. A lot.
Man, I I wish I could say the same for myself. I know a lot more things than I did then, but right now, at least right now in my life, I'm feeling like as much as I've learned, I've learned that how much I don't know at this point.
Exactly. But that is real knowledge and growth, because when you don't know anything, you think that you know something, and then when you learn something, you're like, oh, well, I didn't know anything back then, and you think that now you know something. When you truly know, when you truly are learning, that is when you understand that there is this huge range of things that you don't understand, because the people who sit there and question themselves, those are the people who know something, and they've got this awakened perception to the world around them. Because the people who sit there and go, I know everything about what is going on around me, they're just waiting for the day for the universe to crash around them. They're just waiting for that day. They don't even know it.
I'll tell you, man, it's overwhelming a little bit at this point, because when I was young, I used to say that. Like when I was in high school, I would say often, I think, to my friend, like, all I know for sure is that I don't really know. But that's become so much more of a philosophy as a reality these days. Maybe with the, because that was just before the internet, and now the internet is like, whoa, there's way too much to try and figure out there, like way too much. And having a dad like I do, who read literal encyclopedias and kept them all inside his brain, I'm like, I'm way behind on that already. I don't think that's happening for me. And I'm like, what am I going to do now? Just not know anything, not know enough.
And you know what? I think that it just goes to show that no matter how much you've learned in the hobby, there's always things to learn.
Yeah.
Always things to learn.
Yeah, always things. So that's part of it. It's just like this small thing of reptile keeping. Just keeping just snakes is like, because lizards are a whole other animal, a whole other game besides snakes, and just how much there is to the fact that is a never-ending thing to learn. I've never wanted to live beyond my years. I've always felt this thing, like, I don't want to be like vampire that you just live forever and watch all these people you care about die and live on forever. But with how much stuff there is to learn, before I was just like, I only want to stay alive long for multiple generations to see how long it takes to breed this nose out, because it punches through every single Caucasian thing thrown at it. It just plows right through. It's like Russian, French, English, doesn't matter. Filipino, bitch. And so there was that, and now I'm realizing like what more there is to learn about everything. Just snake keeping. How much, like, you could, several lifetimes, right?
Yeah. What was it like hanging out with the lace monitor while you were here, when you were out here?
Oh, dude.
Because you don't have many lizards, right?
No, I've got a couple leopard geckos. I've got a crested gecko. I've got a tegu, who is absolutely nothing like a lace monitor. at least, especially
Yeah.
not that lace monitor, at least that I feel is. And then also I didn't raise this tegu from baby. This was given to me by Brandon from Roaming Reptiles for the educational program.
Yeah.
So that was, it didn't do anything for my ego. I'll tell you that. As far as like keeping it smaller, which is something I try to remind myself to do on a daily basis. It wasn't, and mainly because, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. I'm going to say Justin, and it's probably going to be wrong. It's not Justin, is it? Is it Justin? Did you freeze, or are you purposefully just sitting there until I said the name right?
I'm
Dustin.
Oh, Dustin.
Dustin. Okay.
Dustin,
I was only off by one consonant. I feel so good about myself now. See, that's my point. He was like, I've been trying to get her to blah 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 blah. He's like, you got the right blah 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 blah, and I was like, that's right. I know what I'm doing with lizards. Never done this before in my life.
Hey man, you after that initial like getting her out, you looked like a natural.
I just tried to let her do. I let her be in control, and like, what does she want? I don't want to. I know. I was coming from that place of like, I know nothing. I know nothing here. Like, I've seen some lace monitors. There's one at Thai parks in particular that I just walked up to the cage with the camera kind of slowly, and it acted like I completely wronged it, and it wanted to kill me for having done so. And I was like, I'm sorry. I just wanted a picture. This is so much that. So with that lace monitor, I was like, all I want is for like us to be friends. If that's, I don't even want that. I just, maybe, like if you want to be friends with me, I want that for you. But if not, it's cool. Just stay in your cage.
If not, it's cool. Yeah. You're just walking up to that hot girl at the bar. You're like, can I buy you a drink? If not, I'll go that way. I just wanted to see if like we had a little something, but not. It's cool. It's cool. No. Okay, you're good. You're good. I got you. Goodbye. It was nice seeing you. Goodbye.
In my experience, what works even better than that is if you just let out this big old fart and like, yeah, what?
No.
Sorry.
Oh, I hate farts. I hate them.
This was one single anecdotal experience, my friend. Only one. No, yeah, that was a good analogy too. So, what was the question?
What? You said you were going to give me an analogy.
Oh no, that was a good analogy.
The lace monitor.
That was the lace monitor and the girl at the bar. I feel like that was a good analogy. Yeah.
Just like, hey, I want to hang out with you. Is it cool if we hang out for a little bit? And she's like, I don't know. And you're like, you can just whenever you're ready to walk away, just walk away. It's cool. It's cool. And then she hangs out with you for a little bit.
I'll tell you what, dude. If I didn't have a little like smidgen of this idea of financial responsibility, that lace monitor would have come home with me. I can tell you that much.
Dude, a Bell's Phase lace monitor has been my dream lizard since I was a very, very young child. So it tripped me out when we pulled that out of the bag, and I was like, oh, little lights from heaven were shining, and I was like, there is no heaven. What is going on here? And it was just like one of the nerd lights going out, and I was like, why? We need to fix that. That's not okay. I just wanted to hold a lace monitor, and it's sitting there like all pissed off, like, and I'm just like geeking out about this lizard that I'm holding, and ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted a Bell's lace monitor. They're just like, they're so incredible. They just, I don't know, they're different.
I'll tell you this as far as lizard experiences go. There was one for me that was, I don't want to say cooler, but different and maybe more epic. When you're in a different country, things are always a little different than
very different.
Although to be fair, Nerd is like its own country.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like if there was a building that was its own country that I've been to, that was definitely Nerd.
Oh yeah.
I mean, is that you're there all the time, so maybe you're not seeing. Maybe the forest for the trees, but.
Oh no, it's different. we got a new kid upstairs, and he's never worked with reptiles before. Like, he doesn't have his own reptiles. He doesn't have any experience. So we're like training him from the beginning. And yesterday, I've been just like dropping in on him a couple times a week and being like, what are you doing? Did you get bit by anything? And he's like, nope, I'm good. He's like, he's started with ball pythons. And yesterday I do this with all the employees here. Like, if you think that you can handle nerd, just know that you probably can't. So I do this because this is how I got trained. So back in the day when I came here, they would take me into the big retic rooms back when they had wild caught import retics that were like 10, 12, 13 foot long. I'd be like, okay, time to clean some big retics. And you get like a little tiny tub lid for a shield and then maybe a snake hook if they're feeling generous. And they're like, okay, we got to clean all these retics. Let's do it. So this kid is new to snakes. He's worked with ball pythons before. He's worked with some corn snakes downstairs in the pet store, but he doesn't have any of his own pet snakes. He's been doing this job for 3 months. He's green. I bring him into one of our rooms, and I open up one of our CB70 tubs, and there's like a 2.5, 3 foot long wild caught Banca blood python that is fueled by hatred and has the power to levitate. So I was like, look, this snake is not gonna like you see where I'm going. I'm like, look, this snake's not gonna like you, but I need you to move it from that tub to the holding tub over here. And I'm just gonna sit here and I'm just gonna watch you do it. And if you need help, I'll coach you, but I really don't want to help you. I just want you to do it. And this kid has not held a blood python ever. So I'm telling him, look, you need to get underneath it. You need to lift it up. And this is one of those snakes where, have you ever worked with wild caught blood python before?
Not for very long.
Okay, so what they do is they curl their ends in back and forth to try and get their tail wrapped around you so that they can swing around and bite you, or so that they can pee on you, and then while you're distracted by the pee, then they can bite you. So this snake is
I've got some hatchlings that are acting just like that, so not as much of a consequence. Yeah.
This big, that big around.
Wouldn't want to mess with it at that size. That
So he's sitting there crying, and he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I hand him a 6-quart lid, clear 6-quart lid, because that's what I give everyone. If they give up, if they fail, they get the 6-quart lid, and then that's it. No hooks until you're actually good at moving them. So me, Jake, one of the other kids who works here, and Spencer, one of the newer kids, are all sitting there watching, and we're saying, okay, look, you got to get underneath it. Don't let it square up with you. Square up with you, it's going to bite you. Once you get your hand underneath it, you should be good. You can just move it real quick from there to there, blah, blah, blah. So we're sitting there just like coaching them. And this blood python, you ever seen shark cages where the shark has got its mouth open and it's just like trying to grab anything that it can? That's exactly what the blood python's doing. And it's like throwing its body and bucking all over the place. And the kid is just like pouring sweat. And he's like 23 years old. So he's not a kid, but I'm calling him a kid. And so we're just like, dude, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And after like 10 minutes, he's like, dude, I can't do it. He gets frustrated, walks out of the room, walks outside.
10 minutes of hands on the snake?
He got a hand on it like once.
Oh, okay.
Because the snake kept the snake was trying to bite him.
Gotcha.
It was trying real hard to bite him. So like 10 minutes of us just like sitting there and, we're kind of giggling because everyone's had to do this before in one way or another. He got frustrated. He thinks we're laughing at him, blah, blah, blah. He leaves. And so I picked the blood python up because it had squirmed its way out of the tub onto the floor from the bottom level of the CB70 rack, from the tub onto the floor. So I pick it up, put it back into the holding tub, and he's just like pissed off. He's upset. And one of the newer kids, Spencer. What?
The kid or the snake?
The kid. So the kid Spencer, who's like one of the newer, he's got his own snakes. He's got scrubs and retics and all this stuff. He's got a bunch of stuff. But he's never worked a lot with lizards or anything. So like he's had a different challenging starting block, learning the lizard behavior, learning, some of the squirrely monitors versus the friendly ones, and blue tongue skinks and monkey tail skinks and all that sort of stuff. And Spencer's laughing a little bit, and I'm like, dude, you were there 6 months ago. Don't laugh too hard, man, because my goal here is to make good handlers out of these guys. I want them to be the best. And because, when I think of nerd, when I was growing up, I had posters of nerd on my wall. Like, I had cutouts from their ads in Reptiles magazine, and Kevin was doing all this stuff, and I was just so geeked out by it. So when I think about nerd, I'm like, boom, it's freaking nerd. It's nerd. Come on, man, it's nerd. And then a bunch of the kids who work here, they're like, oh, I don't know. I like drove past here and I just wanted to work with some animals, I guess. And so I came in here, and I'm like, I will make you elite. We will do this. So the kid Jake is like, he is incredible. He took one of my tours here when I started here and was like, I got to do this. I got to do it. And he had like a couple reptiles and everything. But now he's like breeding tiger rat snakes, and he's got, cinnamon frogs and like all this sensitive species that he's very interested in. And same thing with him. I was like, dude, if you want to work here, because he's got an incredible wealth of knowledge. Like most of the kids who work here have got a pretty good base of knowledge of reptiles in general. But I was like, look, I'm going to show you how to be good, really good. Like, I'm not the best. I'm not saying that I'm Kevin, because Kevin walks in there and stuff that wants to murder me, Kevin just like reaches in, picks it up. It doesn't bite him. It just looks at him and is like, huh, you're the guy that they were talking about, huh? But I'm pretty good. Like, not to say anything about myself, but I'm pretty good. And each of the kids that I've worked with here, I've got them to be pretty good at working with stuff. And it's frustrating, man. I remember when that was me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, learning how to do this stuff. And I remember the first time that I was cleaning, Kevin used to have a rack with big Argentine boas, Suriname boas, Guyana boas, leopard boas. And they were like, we're going to have you clean this rack, when I was volunteering here before I worked here, when I was like 18 or 20 or whatever. And they were like, I need to go clean those big boas. I was like, okay, can I get a snake hook? No, you can't. And I was like, these boas are this big around, and I know that the Guyana wants to try and eat me. Is there anything I can get? He hands me an empty paper towel tube. Here you go. I was like, I can't do that. So he hands me like a soda can, like an energy drink or something. I was like, there you go. You can do that. Work with it. Find a way to do it. And it took me a minute. I figured out how to do it. Oh. And you know what? I learned a lot. Yeah, that's what nerd is like, dude. And when you're saying that nerd is like a different country, it's like a different country, man. It's very hard to describe the number of species that you'll see here, and the way that the species interact with you, and the variety of colors and all that sort of stuff.
Even of the floors now. Even the floors are a variety of colors.
There's a couple floors that I really, really like, and there's a couple that I'm like, I'm not a fan of that. But they look nice. They're gonna look nice when everything's done and everything's all together. But Kevin does all that stuff. He doesn't like hire somebody to do it. He's out here at 2:00 in the morning, laying down plaster covering on the floors.
Yeah, I saw it. I've got a lot of respect for that guy, man. I'm trying to think about right now, like, who I have more respect for, him or you. I don't know. That's a tough one. I shouldn't be playing that game.
Kevin. Yeah. Kevin, 100%.
Yeah, I guess he did put in the floors, right?
I didn't do any floors. I just do the education.
Not as important. Floors are more.
Not as important. Yeah.
Oh man. Sometimes
if we didn't have the floors, I wouldn't have any place to educate. So
there you go. Yeah, it's nice and smooth. somehow smooth and nice and easy to wipe down, yet grippy, so you don't slip. It's like magic.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that? I don't understand.
He's the evil morph god.
I guess so. There was right before I got some messages from folks just from I was putting you on, on Instagram, like, just like oh my god, Should I read them? I feel like I should. I feel like I should read them.
Read it.
All right.
Read it.
All right. You said read it. You said read it.
I would share Rob's memes on the live stream tonight.
I would never list off or give anybody to tell you to go to the end of it. I ended up having a nice back and forth with this individual, and it was good. It ended on a very positive note. So let's say that.
Yeah.
But oh, what the heck? They
blocked you.
No. They didn't block me.
I'm just kidding.
I've got my phone on airplane mode so that we don't get disturbed. So it won't let me scroll back to the earlier messages. One thing I make sure to never do is like give somebody notoriety because I don't like them. I'll never do that. Like if somebody says something bad, I'll take it up with them and never give them a word anywhere publicly because I feel like if I don't like somebody, it's just radio silence. Yeah. No time. Like I said, we ended up having a nice bag for him. So I put up the story. The first story I did this morning was like, oh, we're having Rob on, blah 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 blah. And so is he at Nerd? I was like, yes. And then I had another story of like eating salad, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to tune in. Nerd rocks. And I was like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. And then the next one, laugh my ass off. I fucking hate Nerd. I laugh out loud. Ha! And I was like, you motherfucker. And so I just came back with congratulations and a thumbs up, and then it went from there. But they also said, I've never had an issue with Rob. He's good people. And I said, yes, he is.
You know what? I can't tell you how many people have said that to me. They're like, you know what? I'm not a big fan of Nerd, but Rob's okay. He's okay out there. And I'm like, I'll take it.
And this is where, and so I'm glad you said it like that, because this is where I'm taking that's why my mind went there. Like, who do I respect more? Kevin, who created Nerd, or Rob, who blossomed there? That's hard. That's hard. Is it fair to say that you blossomed at Nerd? Is it fair?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Most people figure out who I am through Nerd. I don't know. I feel like a bunch of my projects are kind of coming together now that I'm here and everything. So
I think
why not?
My reasoning is I think you're all right. Okay. I always say a lot of nice things, bro. I say nice things about people because I feel them, okay? And then I get like people like, oh, you're just nice to everybody. Me. No, I'm just not. I just don't give any time to the people I don't like zero.
Exactly. You're not gonna have the people on here who hate you just to be like, wow, I really like the way that you accepted my request to be on my podcast.
To be fair, I'd be way open to something like that. I'd love to have somebody come on that just hates everything I do. Like, I would love to have that conversation public. I'd be totally fine with it. But only if they were willing to come on. But nobody's going to do that. At least I've actually offered that up to a couple people. And all of a sudden it's like radio silence. It's like, that's what I thought. But my point is, you are a phenomenal person for this hobby, in my opinion, and in lots of other people's opinions, obviously, because of the amount of education you do. Not just that, but like just the energy you bring. Like you've got the pierce, you got the big ears, you got the lip things here, which there's that image. So you also bring in like this energy, this great energy. You've got this amazing, really good energy about you. This aura about you that just screams confidence. Yet I'm here to help you, and I'm here to like accept you as much as I can and teach you. And I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm trying to say you have like this perfect balance for me of how I feel like a person should be in society, especially if you're somebody that's trying to be an ambassador to teach people that these animals that you think are creepy, slimy, and possibly disgusting are not. And I'm the guy to tell you why and make you believe it because I'm awesome. And not to pump up your own head too much, but that's how I feel about you.
I get. So I think what you're trying to say is I just try and be authentic. And
well, it's like you're not trying though. You're not trying. You're just yourself.
Exactly. I'm just being me. And people seem to like that one way or the other. And some people don't. Like there's some people who don't like me, and that's fine. I don't really mind one way or the other.
They probably suck. I'm just saying. I have no problem.
No, here's the thing. Like some people are just not for some people, you know? Like one of the things I don't know if I wanted to post this on Facebook or post this on, I'm probably going to post this on Facebook anyway, but I'm going to talk about it with you because I've been thinking about this for the last 2 days. Like I was saying, I usually think about my posts before I make them.
What a novel
It's
idea.
Right? It's like a shtick that I don't like Burmese pythons. And like it gets brought up a lot. And I make memes about it and stuff. And I get some people who message me and they're like, oh, like I got this snake, and oh, don't hate me, but I got a Burmese python. and for those people, I really just want to be like, dude, I want you to like whatever you like. It doesn't hurt me any that you like Burmese pythons. It doesn't upset me at all that you like Burmese pythons. I'm glad that you found something that you like.
It's funny to me. It's funny to think that there's people that would even think that that is a thing that could be that you would hate them because of they have Burmese python.
Dude, no, because so you probably haven't seen the amount of memes that I make, but I make a lot of memes about Burm keepers. Because this all started because
please explain to us. Please explain.
Okay, because I get people who ask me this constantly. They're like, why do you hate Burms so much? And it's like, I really don't personally have anything against Burmese pythons per se, but I've got so many stories of people being very ignorant keepers, and they're all surrounding people who keep Burmese pythons. Because back in the day, it was like people went to a pet store, they bought a little python, and then all of a sudden it got to be this giant thing, and they're like, I feed it live rabbits and blah, blah, blah. And like, just all these horrible stories. And there was one guy on Instagram. I don't even know what his Instagram handle is, but there's this thing with people who keep Burmese. No, happy Burms Day.
Please don't stop. I'm just listening to your story. Nothing's going on over here.
So there's this thing with Burmese python keepers where they like to like pick up the snake's fresh poop and like hold it in their bare hand. And it's not just one person. There's like a bunch of people who have posted things like this. And I'm like, what is the fascination with holding your snake's fresh, wet poop in your hand? I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Is it because it's well dehydrated, like poop is trying to be? No.
I'm talking about wet poop. Like wet poop. The wet poop. Oh, Dan Magana with the super chat. Who made the best birthday video, though? So I'm just going to say that Cusco made that video with his singing and his Happy Burms Day.
Dan made that video.
Because I was at my night job when I saw that video, and I almost pissed myself in the middle of a grocery store aisle because I was laughing so hard at that video.
Wait, where can we send people that haven't seen that video to see it right now if they want to see it?
It's on my Instagram. You'd probably have to scroll back a little bit, but it is on my Instagram at Rob is Creeping It Real. You can look on there. And I think the thumbnail for it is like Matt Bowers shirtless with the Burmese python.
Okay, so hold on. We're going back to where your pure hatred for Burms and people who keep Burms, where it comes from.
Yeah. So every time that I would think that I would find somebody who's not doing disjustice, because like when I see Burmese pythons, I look at a snake that's like, they get big, you should respect them, they need a lot of space, when you're feeding them, be careful what you're feeding them and all sorts of stuff. And when I was growing up, I would just constantly get people who were like, yeah, I got a big snake, it's yellow. And I'm like, what kind of snake is it? And they're like, I don't know, it's like 10 feet long. And I'm like, oh, you don't know anything about it. You don't know about this giant snake that could potentially really hurt you. And they're like, well, I feed it live rabbits. And I'm like, oh my God, you just like watching things die. This is not good. Or people would just, they wouldn't know anything about it. Or this story is, I don't know if I want to say this on camera. This is a one-time occurrence that happened to me, but I've had similar things happen. So I'm walking from my high school to the Petco when I was in high school. My mom was going to pick me up at the Petco. I brought my ball python in to, I used to do volunteer work with the local special needs students. So they would come, I'd bring one of my snakes or one of my reptiles in. They'd hang out with it for an afternoon.
Oh, come on, Rob. I already like you enough, dude. You don't got to keep it up.
But so at the end of the time, I would walk from my high school to Petco, which is like probably 2.5 miles. but it was like a little bit of a chilly day. So I had my sweatshirt on, ball pythons wrapped up around my neck, and I'm walking to the Petco, and I'm walking past this Dunkin' Donuts. And as I'm walking by the drive-through pullout, this guy in a minivan peels out, like burns out from the window, slams on his brakes right in front of me. And I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. It's going to be someone telling me that I need to kill my snake or something stupid, right? And so the guy rolls down his window and he's like, is that a snake on your neck? I was like, yeah, it's a ball python. And he's like, I didn't know anyone else around here kept snakes. And I was like, actually, I know a lot of people around here who keep snakes. And he's like, I got a Burmese python. And I was like, oh boy, here it comes. Here it comes, because I just know that something stupid is going to come after this, because that's what I've conditioned myself to think. So this guy is like, yeah, I built a custom enclosure in my living room for it. So I made a 10-foot long by 6-foot long by 8-foot tall enclosure. I got basking platforms in there, so she's got different temperatures where she can hang out. And like when I'm watching TV, I got a big sliding door on the front. Like I bought a patio sliding door, and I'll slide it open and she can cruise around the room and hang out with me while I'm hanging out watching TV. And I was like, wow, this guy's like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this guy's the one. Maybe he's the guy to change my mind on Burmese pythons. And he's like, I built a water feature in there for her, so she's got like a big pond she can hang out in. And I was like, wow, man, this guy is amazing. It's very rare that I meet someone who's got a Burmese python. Back 15 years ago, 12 years ago, it's very rare that I would meet someone who would take a big portion of their house and turn it into a Burmese python enclosure when they kept a Burm. Most people kept it in a fish tank, like a 90-gallon, and they're like, yeah, throw rabbits in there. So this guy's made a whole big enclosure in his living room for his Burm. And I was like, wow, this guy, he did it. He changed my mind. And the next thing that he says to me is, the other day I had her door open and my girlfriend's cat was walking on the door, so I kicked the cat in and shut the door. You should have heard that thing screaming. And I was like, okay, that's it. I got up, I walked away. I was like, I don't know why I thought that this guy was going to change my mind. I don't know why I thought that this was going to be any different than any other time I had spoken to someone who keeps Burmese pythons. Wow. But yeah, so that happened, and I was like, he was so good. He had me 100% with him up until that point, and I was like, I need to stop getting my expectations so high, because I'm destined to fail.
Well, Rob, it's not the Burmese pythons that are the major issue in Florida. It's the invasive cats, okay? So
True.
Kick the cats into the enclosures, and we'll let the problem sort itself out.
He's like, my girlfriend left me over it. And I was like, yeah, I would hope that she freaking would, you fucking sociopath. Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, people are, I grew up across the street from people like that. And so nothing surprises me anymore. It's like,
yeah.
Sorry, Pat and John, if you're watching.
Back to the Burmese pythons thing, like every time that I thought there was someone who like would change my mind about Burmese pythons, they do something stupid like that, or they'd like bring their big Burmese python to the beach and like just like lay it out on the sand next to people who are terrified of snakes, or do stuff like that where it's like it's not helping the hobby, it's not helping the snake. And between that and then people who bought them and didn't know what the heck they were doing, I wrote off Burmese pythons. I'm like, never will I ever keep a Burmese python. I'm not interested. I don't want to be grouped with those people. I don't want to have anything to do with it. So I've never kept a Burmese python ever.
Fair enough. That was that anecdote. All your anecdotes right there were like, I mean, I get it. I totally get it at this point. I will tell you, your story though did inspire me. I am inspired. I now know that the day that I have a patio sliding door to get into the enclosure of every single one of my big snakes, that's the day that I know that I've really like, okay, I'm here. Like
hit it.
I've hit it.
Yeah.
I've made it. And that's when I know. I know that now. Like when that happens, I'm like, all right, now what do we do? What are we going to do now? Something.
What's next?
I don't know what. Yeah. I don't know what. We'll figure it out when we get there, I guess. There'll be something at that point. I'll be like, I thought I knew. But no.
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. So the Burmese python thing, I like poke fun at it, and I'm like, all Burm keepers are like that, or they all want to pick up the wet poop, which like I talk about that as a joke, but I have a couple friends who are in the Burmese Python Keeper lover group on Facebook, and they send me screenshots all the time of people holding their, like, the Burm pooped it and they picked it up as it's coming out of its cloaca, and they're like, look at the size of this log. And I'm just like, what?
Rob,
Why?
Rob,
What do you, what?
Rob, I'm one of those people.
No!
I
Me and Jeremy.
pick up poop with my bare hands.
Not fresh. Not fresh. Wait till it's dry a little bit. Oh. Or why post a picture of it? It goes back to the why post it on the internet. Oh,
I'll tell you why
goodness.
I don't post a picture of it. It's intolerant people like yourself who make me feel like a dumbass for it. That's why I don't do it anymore.
Me and Jeremy have an agreement that he cannot have more berms than he does short tails, bloods and short tails. If he has more berms than bloods and short tails, we can't be friends anymore, and the Reptile Talk podcast has to end.
That seems like I'm going to say it sounds reasonable because I've been in Jeremy's house. I've been in Jeremy's house. There's no reason that he should have more berms than short tail pythons. Okay, there's just no reason for it. At the time that he does that, it's like, yeah, there's something wrong with you, dude. There's
something wrong here. We got to change. It's not okay.
Yes. All right. Fair enough. I can respect that. Dude, we've got 5 minutes left. Does anybody in the chat does anybody in the live chat want to have a question for Rob before we are going over to do a half hour before Rob goes off to his night job because he's superhuman. We're going to do a little after party. There's a link down in the description for that if you want to jump in on that. But if you got a question for Rob right now in the live chat, now's the time to ask it. We only got 5 minutes, so I'm almost guaranteed not everybody's going to get to it. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't even know how many people are in here anymore. Live streams are so overrated these days. But Rob Christian is not. Rob Christian is not
sometimes. Overrated. I don't know. I feel like I'm overrated sometimes.
That's all right. That's good to feel that way about yourself. You should feel that way about yourself. But not other people.
Just another guy.
Other people should really like you. And it seems like they do. And for good reason. For good reason. Like you're better than me, which isn't, I guess, saying a whole lot at this point. But
no. And you know what's funny? Whenever I hear people talking about me, they're always like, "Oh, Rob's such a nice guy. He's almost as nice as Brian Kuska." And I'm like,
shut up. Nobody says that.
I like that.
Dude,
I'm serious.
You pulled that out.
Whenever my name gets brought up, the next person that gets brought up is you. Every time. Every single time.
Well, that's why we're such good friends. We have a lot in common. You said it at the end of the podcast, and it sounded a little cheesy to be honest, but I know what it meant. It was like real recognize real, and I had like a whole. You were completely sober, and I was like half a bottle in. But so I was like, good. If you can handle me at that state, you can handle me at any state. We're friends.
Yeah, it's just like hanging out at Tinley. What are you talking about,
dude? No, honestly. If you guys get the chance to meet this guy, please take advantage of that because your life will be better for it. I'll say this.
I'm not saying that all your snakes are going to reproduce that season, or that you're going to meet the love of your life, or that you're going to win the lottery. But I'm also not saying that those things won't happen. That's all.
Have all those things happened to people who have met you?
Yes.
I knew it.
Not every person, but of the people who have met me, at least one of those people has done each of those things.
See, that's why you're better than me. I don't know a single person that's won the lottery. See, I knew it.
I know a couple people who have won the lottery twice. I'm like, I hate you.
I'm totally negating the questions in this chat. There's a whole bunch coming in. We only got 3 minutes for them. All right, we're gonna shoot them like a freaking seat of the pants. You got to go quick, like one sentence answer max. And this one's gonna be easy for that. Psycho Squirrel asks, "What's your favorite color and why?" One sentence.
Green, nature.
Oh, perfect. Nathan Doherty, why Borneos, not bloods?
Because the market for blood pythons is too volatile. They're importing a lot of the blood python morphs, so the price went from like here to here in like a season, and then to there the next season. Borneos, they are not importing anything that I produce. Rob, they just can't.
Rob, that was like 10 sentences at least, bro.
Sorry.
I'm just saying. It's all right. It was a good answer still, regardless of the fact, or irregardless. Which one is it? Is it regardless or irregardless? What's the proper word there?
Probably regardless.
Okay. So you
With
got
lack for regard.
because you have no regard for anything. Yeah, like that's why we get along. What are short tails and even a good pet to consider if you're not into bitey animals? From Sonoran Herp Haven.
Yes, I don't. Most of my babies don't bite, to be perfectly honest. Like, I know that the ones that you just hatched out are probably pretty nippy. The ones that I hatched out last year, I can pick every single one of them right up, no problems. Don't buy a wild caught one.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that too. But mine also, I also violate them immediately. I should probably stop doing that. Scottish Rob is asking, or he says, "Thanks for helping my daughter out with her favorite spiders the last Tinley. Are you much of a boa guy?"
No. I like.
I almost thought you were gonna do the one sentence thing. You failed.
Sorry. I like Candolia and Corralis for boas. Most of the rest of the boas don't do much for me. Oh, yeah, I'll leave it at that. There's other weird ones, but
that's perfect because you got one more question and one more minute.
Right.
Do you have any venomous in your personal collection, Rob?
No. Private collectors cannot have venomous anywhere in New England.
Fair. What about nowhere in New England at all? Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was about to ask Massachusetts and look like a real idiot. But you said new, and I immediately went Hampshire because live free or die. Live free or die. What a freaking...
with live free or die that they would be cool with you having venomous, but nope.
Seriously, like what is? It's just a slogan at this point. It means nothing.
Yeah.
It's fair. Fair enough. All right, Rob. Thank you, my friend. Hang around. We're going to go in the after party in just a moment, but thank you for coming on. We're going to have to do this again. We'll do it in person. I love you, bro. Fantastic times every time.
I love you too, man.
I'll see you in a moment.
Oh.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, where is my face? Why is this just empty with nothing on it? Oh, what did I do? I messed something up again. It's all right. Look at my nice scrolling logo back there. And just pretend that you can see my face. How about that? That's what you should do. Just pretend that Brian's face is looking at you right now, talking to you. Yet, I'm mesmerizing you with my slowly sliding Triple B logo in a big empty frame while you're hearing my voice. This is like the opposite of the beginning issue. All of my face and no audio. This is none of my face and all audio. Rob, I said enough nice things about him while we were on the screen. I could say more of them too. But if you want more Rob, there are links down in the description where you can go follow him. And also, he's going to be on my Good Buddies podcast, Bradley and Zach, over at Connected by Creatures this Friday. So go check that out as well. And next week, we've got another awesome guest, Ryan McVeigh from Zilla. And the week after that, we got Ty Park. We're going to be having some good times. So you guys have a great evening. See you later. How do I